Welcome again to the channel, guys. My name's Andre, Eagle Express, and I welcome you. I really do. Thank you for sticking with me. The people who have been here since the beginning and the people who are just new, welcome. Today I wanted to talk about a subject that if you're already watching this video, you're thinking about it, about to pull the trigger, or you're about to do something where you're going to be starting or thinking about starting getting into expediting. We specialize with loading vans, cargo vans, like Sprinter vans and high roof vans, extended vans. We don't work with the short ones. We don't work with smaller box trucks. We specialize only with Sprinter vans, so it has to be a Sprinter style van. If you guys are thinking of pulling that trigger, if you are gonna pursue this, maybe you're already in the final stages, or maybe you're just thinking about it. You've watched a lot of videos, you've watched a lot of content online, and you're thinking about, going and making that big money. I'll tell you this, I'm known to tell people the truth, and I'm not just telling the truth from a driver perspective only. I'm telling you the truth of somebody who drives, showing you guys how to do this, and somebody who has been dispatching and owned my own company for over 9 years now. So I'm not new to this. I've seen a lot of things over the 9 years, and the economy that we're in right now, the market that is in our shoes right now, everybody who's in the transportation business, market for transportation sucks right now. It just does. That's the hard truth. If you guys have not purchased a van yet, if you have not put down your down payment yet for it, or if you've not signed your paperwork and ordered a van, if you're ordering one, don't do it. Just don't do it. I'm not saying this job is bad. I'm not saying you can't make any money at this work. I'm not saying any of those things. I'm only telling you guys that right now rates are low and freight is hard to get. Market is way oversaturated with drivers. Everybody who's been wanting to do this has been watching YouTube for the last couple years or watched it last year, and finally, a lot of people are either retiring going into this, or a lot of people have finally saved up enough money to go and buy their own vehicle, and they're starting this. And everybody who has watched videos from the previous 2 years and got into this year, they got into something unexpected because of what happened to the market and what's happening with the freight and the costs and everything else. Semi-trucks are suffering. I mean, anything in the transportation right now is suffering. Really, I mean, it's the truth. That's how it is. If you didn't know something new, today is the day that you found out. That if this is news to you, then hopefully this will stop you in your tracks and you don't make any mistakes that you don't want to make. I'm not saying that you're not going to make money. I'm not saying you're not going to be successful. I'm not saying any of those things. I am just saying that if you're going to have a van payment, if you're going to have insurance payment, and in some states insurance is ridiculously high. Florida, some people are paying over $2,000 a month just for that commercial insurance. Fuel is still high. Food is expensive. If you're not planning to live in the van full time, then you're going to have home bills to pay, mortgages and rent, and who knows what other kind of debt you have and everything else. All those things combined, I don't know how you can survive and make money efficiently to where you're going to pull through. And I'm the kind of guy that if I work and do something, I got to be able to make enough money, not to just get by, but to actually save money. That's the kind of person I am. That's how I've been all my life. I don't know if, some people don't have that mentality. If you don't, then go ahead and do what you got to do. But if you're looking to get into this and you want to make money, save money, to buy a house, to buy something else, to get married, to set your life and go on forward, right now is really not the time for that kind of an investment if you don't have the cash in hand. If you've got cash in hand and you can buy that van for cash. You don't have a problem paying for insurance, or even can pay a full year policy in advance to save quite a bit of money on that too. You can do that. And if you don't really worry about, sitting around, if you have the patience to wait for that freight, because currently you have to have patience to be able to do this. It's not the year before, 2022 and 21, I'm going to repeat myself. Those were the years that things were best at this. It was really great. I mean, we had drivers that were complaining because we were giving them too much work. They were way too busy. They couldn't handle the amount of work. And right now it's the opposite. You got to be patient to be able to wait patiently to get that load, because we do a lot of bidding on these loads. We don't just have them in our pocket. Brokers don't just have all these loads in their pocket. It used to be that brokers would post a load and it was their own customer, and 99% of the time, whoever posts the load, that's their customer. You don't see a lot of that, what you see now with like 20, 30 different brokers posting the same exact load. What happens is that rate gets saturated and it becomes nothing, and we don't even win the load. I don't even know if I call those fake loads. When I see freight that's being posted by 5 or more brokers, that's a wash. We don't even want to waste our time, and 99% of the time we don't even bid those loads because you just can't win them. So the process, how this whole thing works, expediting, is somebody wants to move some freight. So they either get with a broker they've been dealing with, or they post it on broker boards, some kind of freight that moves from point A to point B. Broker takes that posting, posts it on the dispatching load boards that we see as dispatchers. We see the load, we'll give them the rate, how far away we are, how soon we can deliver it, the dimensions of the unit, all that. It's an all-exclusive unit, so they have the full capability to load you with more freight or less freight, depending on what you end up with when you show up over there. Sometimes things change for the good, sometimes things change for the bad, and you got to move more than what we were anticipating, which is still okay. But long story short, all these loads still need to be won. We need to win them to be able to give them to the driver. We do a lot of bidding. We do non-stop bidding all day long on all these loads. There's a lot less freight now because of how the market is. A lot of these shippers, they're shipping things LTL, which is just maybe an eighth of the price, to ship something. It could cost just a couple $100 to ship something cross country as an LTL, just one pallet, and it could get there in 2 weeks. They don't really care. They'd rather pay a couple hundred than, whatever it ends up being. If it's a 3,000 mile run at 80 cents a mile, you do your math of how much you get paid. We need to make something, broker needs to make something. So in the end, it's a pretty gold penny for the customer. So a lot of things, when things are bad, the market is bad, the way it is now, things get shipped LTL. And LTL is super cheap. Yes, there's not great insurance on it. Something happens, out of luck. But a lot of these companies that ship LTL, the insurance cost is like $1 per pound. So if it's 500 pounds, they get $500 for it if something happens to the freight. If some freight costs 20,000, 30,000, gets damaged, gets lost, well, that's what you get for shipping LTL. That's the common thing for LTL. In the end, what I want to say is, I'll repeat myself one more time. If you have not purchased the van, if you don't have possession of it right now, don't do it. Just hold off. Hold off maybe till winter time. Hold off maybe till next year. Ask around. You could always email us and just say, hey, is this a good time to get into this right now? Have things gotten better? Have the rates picked up? Has freight picked up? You guys need to ask these questions, because don't just assume that everything is great and you're gonna just get the van and go and load yourself and so on and so forth. Companies like ours that have been around for 9 years, we've been through a lot of things already. Trust me, we have. We've been through the good times, the bad times, the slow times. There's been times where we were driving for 45 cents a mile, coast to coast, before in the recession times. So there was, you know what I mean? Yeah, fuel was cheaper, so we could afford to do that, and drivers could if they just needed to hurry up and get out of a dead zone, dead area. We've been through everything. Now it's a vicious cycle. It's like a heartbeat. It's a roller coaster. Business is like that all the time. It's an investment, and you never know how you're going to end up. You could be doing great and make 6 figures a year, or you could be barely getting by, or you could be going into debt doing this. So it all depends on the driver. It all depends on how great of a nighttime driver you are, what kind of loads you can be trusted with, so on and so forth. Some drivers can't even drive 300 miles at night. You can't trust them based on how you watch them drive. They load up at 7 p.m. and at 9 p.m. they're already needing to take a nap. If that's you, this job is definitely not for you. Definitely not for you. If you can't drive all night long, if you're given a load tonight, to pick up at 8 p.m. and then you need to get it there, 9 a.m. and you need to drive nonstop, all you got to spare is maybe an hour or two. That's fill up and go style. If you can't do that, this job is not for you, because that's what this is. Expediting is time critical freight 99% of the time. So if you don't want to go into debt, you don't want to be sitting around for half a week waiting for these short runs or whatever you can handle type of runs, don't get into that. That's a whole nother video for a whole nother subject of who this job is for, who can handle this kind of work and who can't. But as far as today goes, if you don't have that van, hold off. Just do it. I would hold off. This is what I would. This is the kind of information that's free to you and priceless, because who else is going to tell you from a dispatch point of view? We do dispatching all the time, not just on the West Coast, all lower 48 states, just in case you guys didn't know. I know you see me driving on the West Coast because I don't need to go anywhere further. I don't even need to be in the van. I don't even need to go driving. I don't need it. But I'm doing it to show you guys that there is money in this if you do things right. There was great money in this last year and the year before, and even before that, before I got into this whole YouTube thing. But right now, things are not that great. And when they're not that great, you guys need to tighten up the belt. If you're on the road, you're driving, you got to tighten up, man. Tighten up your ship, because you want to cancel all your little subscriptions that you have. They add up. If you got Netflix, if you got Apple TV, if you guys got other things that you're watching, get rid of all that. Hulu, all that kind of stuff. Other subscriptions, Dish, all that stuff, get rid of it. There's a lot of content on YouTube that's free if you want to watch that. That's what I do. I don't even have Dish. I don't have any other kind of TV at home that I pay for. I don't even have Hulu. I don't have Netflix. I don't have none of that. I think kids have it through our cell phone provider that gives it to them for free through T-Mobile, but I don't even have that. I don't have time for it anyways, even if I would have it. So I don't spend money on that at all. I'm not saying that I'm, living paycheck to paycheck. That's definitely not the case, but I'm telling every driver out there that right now is the time to actually tighten up ship so you can make it at this. That way, you can survive the bad times. We still have drivers who do this smart, who have, but to be able to do this, it's got to be a certain kind of driver as far as it goes right now. You got to be either retired and have some kind of other income flowing in, or you got to be pretty set as far as your investment goes. If you can buy a $20,000, $30,000 van for cash and it's not going to hurt you, you just have it laying around and you can pay that insurance payment, sure, go ahead and do this. If you like camping out in truck stops or wherever, if you like hanging out and, seeing the country and so on and so forth, this is a job for you. And this is actually the time to do that right now, because in the busy time, you could see things while you're driving during the day, but you still have to deliver that freight on time. So right now, with the down times, with the slow times, with more waiting for the load. It's a perfect time to get into this for those guys who like to sightsee, who like to go looking around, who like to, you know, go hang out and see the country, see all the cities and all that kind of stuff. So you guys can take my advice and hopefully it'll help you. I'm sure there will be other people who will say, no, you're totally wrong. You know, I can do this and that, and I make tons of money staying local and so on and so forth. To make good money at this, or to at least get by and to have something left over, you guys need to be able to go OTR, stay on the road for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. You get paid per mile during this job or while doing this. So you want to rack up as much miles as you can. That way you can afford all the things and have enough money to pay for all your bills, like insurance, note payment if you have one on the van, maintenance when it comes up. If you break down on the road, towing is super expensive. If you break down on the road, parts sometimes are hard to get. So sometimes you might end up waiting in a hotel for a couple of weeks somewhere in the middle of the country, wherever you break down. This was years ago, but we paid $500 to tow 12 miles, Sprinter, $500. And shop charges a lot. You got to be able to stay in a hotel if that's the case, if that happens to you, or take a flight home, then be able to come back and get your van if you're leaving it somewhere. I mean, there's so much that goes on to this that people don't realize. You can't start this job with, you know, $1,000 in your pocket and get on the road. What if something happens that your van breaks down? It's not brand new. Or even if it's brand new and you still need to take it to the dealership, and the dealership says, well, we've got a week wait till we can get it in the shop, and then we can check it, and then we need to order parts, and if we do order parts, then it's another week or two. What are you gonna do? Do you have enough to pay for your note payment, for everything else, and still take care of this maintenance bill if you have one? Lots of things to consider, guys. God bless you guys. If you have questions, comment section, please write them in there. I try to answer every single one of them. So we might see each other on the road, or if you can have the ability to hold off, because a lot of people still need to leave the industry. It's oversaturated still. I'm not sure if that will help much, but it will help some. Some people who thought they could get rich quickly here, you know, and they can't now. A lot of impatient people that don't have the patience to wait for the load. All those guys, they're going to wash away. They're going to be gone. So take care. We'll see each other next time.